Hey, Demon Legion fans, welcome to Proxy Table Gaming. I am Lucky Sixes. This is Hyper G.
It is.
And we are here today for another one of our many book reviews for the update, talking
Yeah.
about Demon Legions.
Demon Legions. Oh, well,
One that,
I don't think either of us have ever played Demon Legions apart from the Wooden Spoon, which was a
no,
long time ago.
yeah. Traditionally not one of our armies, so really interested to see what changes are brought around. We are going to just look at changes, so let us know in the comments if we miss anything drastically, or if
Yeah.
we say something's good and you say actually that's a terrible change. Really
Yeah.
interested to know what our initial takes are, because we've literally only got this like now, so it's interesting to look through it. It's very raw and ready and rough.
Sometimes, because we're not familiar with books, it's hard to see where something's a change and where something's just a clarification as well. So if we get that wrong, forgive us and let us know.
Yeah, and certainly do let us know. Like, share, subscribe if you're like other things other than Demon Legions as well, because we have plenty of army book updates. We also have loads of stuff coming up in the future as well.
I challenge everyone to watch at least 50% of all the reviews.
Whoa.
That's not that high a target, I think, because you should be interested in most of the armies anyway.
If nothing else, if you're a Demon Legion player for matchup potential.
Too right, yeah.
But yes, here we go. Demon Legions. And let's get stuck in. So ages, they've still got the fiber pages.
They do? Yeah. Shame. Oh, it's even better now for a rule we'll get onto very shortly.
Well, yes, sure. Immortal Denizens is just a clarification because everyone fails in 1 or 2, and that's in the rulebook.
Yep.
Greater Dominion. So this is...
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Again, possibly the biggest change, because it's a simplification, because the Greater Dominion is always must reroll Age of Saves of 1.
It used to be lots of different things depending on which Greater Demon you took.
Yes.
Now it's not those different things.
No, it's
just
always
this
as a standard, which is a simplification. It's also a blooming good rule.
It's fantastic because you put it on the one unit.
Yeah.
So,
however, it's a one size fits all rather than I can use multiple toolboxes to change the way you play different art. So I think it's a good standard rule. But it definitely probably tinkers with RPS natures and variations of making the same unit viable in different ways. So let us know. This is one of the biggest examples, really, because we don't know all the different combinations. Let us know what are the biggest winners out of this and what are the biggest losers out of this, and what you now perhaps can't do because of this change, because it will affect so many different lists in so many different ways that I think it'd be really cool to have people's opinions on what it changes from their list and what.
I was just checking as well that it is all rank and file models. It's not character models that get this reroll.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because that would be extremely powerful if character models were as well.
Does a champion count as a rank and file?
Yep,
it does. Okay, so it's just the units themselves. Cool.
I said that so confidently. I hope I'm right.
No, it's the best way. An attack attribute that has been added, but I think was taken away also from some of the units to make it.
It was on 2 units, and now it's just been put as an attack attributes at the front of the book.
Yeah.
And it's been clarified at the same time. So,
if the attack has the same height, it's +1 to hit and to wound. So that's a clarification rather than saying if it's infantry or whatever.
Large. It used to be on Clawed Fiends and Succubi. Obviously, Succubi were standard, Clawed Fiends were large, and it used to have to say if they attack their respective size in each unit entry. It said it twice. Now it just says it once.
So interesting. It's, I guess, a more niche thing and a more matchup based. So your deployment's going to have to be slightly better to ensure that you still get this. But for the most part, it happened against the same things.
And it was the same as it was anyway. It's just a rule book change, a book change. So it's exactly the same function as it was before.
Okay. Darkfire's the same. Spear of Infinity has gained magical attacks.
This was interesting because this triggered with me, like, you know how all the magic weapons, which we don't mention anymore, say magical attacks, although ironically we won't be mentioning it in Demons anyway.
Certainly won't be
I wouldn't be surprised to see magic spells that cause damage have a rulebook change that matches this.
Sure.
Like, because you're having to
not
say
all of them do, right? Are there some that don't then?
Well, that's an interesting question. I
Another
don't
good
know.
question, yeah.
Because
I'm sure I assumed every single one that did damage
magical
would
damage
also
should
have
be a magical attack.
attacks.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't, let us know. If there's one or two that are out there that don't have magical attacks from
Oh,
magic,
if you can find one, amazing. But I would expect that to be a change to come.
Yeah, sure. Presumably this is what they did with. Yeah, that's a good comparison actually. Otherwise, it's the same. It doesn't change anything. Demonic manifestations, and get ready. This is the biggest.
This is the big thing. Yeah.
It would be with demons, right? For sure. There are some that are taken away and some that have just changed as well. So
the initial paragraph, though, I think is effectively an easier way of saying what it already had.
Yeah.
Basically, guiding versions are taken by characters, and then the rank and file version is something that you can take for cheaper, only affects the unit. So
mechanically,
effectively, it's the same.
Doesn't change, but
I can't see any difference, but I might be missing something, as we've caveated with everything that we've said in these reviews.
In terms of manifestations of Father Chaos, Withering Vapor has gone, the breath attack.
That's interesting. I mean, comments could be dedicated purely on how disappointed are you to see the ones that have gone.
Yeah,
because there's a few of them.
As we go through, Cloven Hooves is gone. Interestingly, Brimstone Secretions is
totally changed.
It's totally changed. So kind of. So it's now immune divine attacks rather than divine attacks lose this.
Yeah. So I guess it's just reworded it. I still think it's really good. I don't know why I haven't come across this.
Especially with demons, right? I guess.
Character
because
as well.
Previously divine was very limited to what actually has divine.
Yeah.
Divination.
I mean,
and
now you don't get divine as part of Blessed Inscriptions, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
Now you do, but you do get it as part of Cleansing Fire. Cleansing Light, sorry. Yeah, you were right.
But if we carry on going through what's been taken out of this first page, you've got Withering Vapor, Cloven Hooves,
Dexterous
Tentacles, and Charged Tendrils.
Tendrils is gone.
Yeah. They've just been wiped off the face of the demon earth.
Yeah, although there is a form of Charged Tendrils that's been added into some things that you would want it on anyway.
Right.
But we'll see those as we go through. So.
Sure. Centipede legs has been changed from advanced rate to just march rate. So previously you obviously got advanced and march out of it, but now you just get the march.
It's a bit cheaper as well, which I think matches up with the change they've made. So
perhaps even you'd argue it could go down a little bit further because it's just the march, but it's still a decent thing and it still allows you to maneuver in an already.
It allows you to flank easier, and it doesn't necessarily allow you to charge easier. So
I mean, they're already amazing movement. So switch flight. So it's still pretty good.
I think that's why they couldn't make it too much cheaper, because 20 points is still really cheap.
Yeah, for sure. Green Fire Eyes from the Manifestations of Envy. So it used to be the model's unit fails its first charge roll, it must re-roll that charge. And now it must re-roll any natural ones for charging all the time. So not once used, only more things, and easy to remember, I guess.
I think this is fine. It's just it's a simplification.
It's got cheaper.
You don't have to remember whether you've used it or not. So
it's down from 35 to 25, and it happens all the time. So I quite like that.
I do too.
As a thing. Staying on this thing, so I can scroll down later. Brood Mother from the Manifestations of Gluttony is.
It's different. So instead of gaining back D3 health points at the end of the round of combat, you now get 1 health point back for every 6+ that you rolled.
From a D6.
On your from a D6 that you roll in addition. So
I don't understand with all the simplifications going.
This one's an extra D6 that you're rolling.
Why this has been added? Yeah,
exactly. It seems a bit odd.
I don't. It doesn't mean I don't like it. Actually, I quite like it.
It's less likely to happen.
I mean, it's well cheaper as well. It's
Mm.
25 and 50
Sure.
rather than 50 and 80. So
Yeah.
it is worse because you have to roll. You might roll one,
Mm.
and you might roll no sixes
Six.
on all the things. So it's
Lucky sixes.
I mean, yeah, that'd be great.
You should love this rule.
The potential is you can get 6 rather than 3, right? Is the thing, but it's very unlikely that you will ever get 6. You have to roll a 6, and then you have to roll 6 sixes.
No, I don't think you have to roll a 6.
Well, yeah, so roll a d6 at the end. So how does it work then?
Your attacks. If you cause a wound, then you get a d6.
Right. Okay.
And
sure.
you just build up a pool of d6s.
So not just 6.
Yeah, not just
loads.
on 6s.
Yeah,
You could, if you go mental with your attacks and cause loads of damage to your opponent,
okay.
then you're getting more d6s.
All right, fair enough. So, but yeah, I just think it's a complicated one in terms of what you're.
Well, look how much me and you have just stumbled over it. And
you got to remember it. I don't know. Just it was simpler before.
Yeah.
I guess they wanted to make it cheaper, and this is how you make it cheaper.
It's different. I don't mind it being different. So,
but yeah, there's that. Sticking with manifestations of gluttony, we are on digestive vomit, which I think is not used on use only now. Again,
no.
And it's just the first time. Oh, so it kind of is.
First time you win a combat, yeah. Okay,
So,
yeah.
Great. It's just, I think this is a simplification.
Yeah, because
rewording. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it means that you get it even if you just stick from combat.
Yeah.
Previously, you had to end the combat and do a combat reform or a pivot. So now you can actually maintain being in combat, and if you win, then you're that's good for the same price.
Yeah, so same price and a simplification in that regard. On to the manifestations of greed, and all the same apart from grasping. Probscus is gone. Probably because no one can say it, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it helps you out because you'll never have to say it again.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed.
We'll be back.
Yeah. Manifestations of lust are the same. Manifestation of pride are the same. Obviously, with the caveat of the greater dominion thing as well. Aura of despair from the manifestations of lust.
Yeah.
I want to say this is a rework.
Well, it's simpler. You just get accurate instead of a stand and shoot. Units declaring charge against the unit with at least one model with.
Yes, very different.
Yeah, instead of you're gaining from its effects every one of your turns, as opposed to if your opponent's charging you.
Yeah, so
they're less likely
-2 from the advance rate for charge roll is quite big actually.
Is this more expensive or
this is well cheaper because accurate is literally just giving you a +1 aim rather than potentially stopping something charging you. So
you might need to look out for who's got this because is this on the Eidolons?
Quite possibly.
That's a brilliant. That's a big upgrade for Eidolons.
Yeah. So
keep accurate.
Much. Yeah, but also I think. I do think the old one was better, or -2 to advance rate for charges.
Only if you're getting charged, though. I mean, you get accurate, you can be ignored all game and still have accurate.
Potentially gives you another shooting phase. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is, and it's changed.
For me, it's always hard to see what units have got what in Demons.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of the units only have a choice of 3 or 4.
And it's super cheap. 10 points and 20, so super cheap.
I'd pay that for accurate, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Manifestations of Wrath, excuse me, looks like it's just all the same.
Yeah.
The
apart Aegis has changed.
Which is a common theme across all the books. No more 2+ Aegis to flame in. It's 3+. I don't think there's any 2+ to anything else, but that will be taken out. So just
I'm determined to spot one that
I know,
still failing so far.
So which takes us on to characters, and that was the majority of the changes, and the majority of changes are actually just taking out stuff. There are a few reworks and stuff like that, and a few points here and there, but for maybe 6 or 7, just gone completely. So no, that's interesting that they've gone that way. Especially as they don't have the magical items option. So it's interesting that they've taken variety out.
Yes.
I think cloven hooves were one I saw quite a lot. If we go through the ones that have been taken out, very, very quickly.
Yeah. Do we remember any of them?
Because this is definitely the most thing. So the breath weapon has been taken. Cloven hooves is impact hits or impact D3 +1, which is good for like brazen beasts and things like that.
Yeah.
Or whatever doesn't have it. The
Centipede legs is. Oh no, sorry, you're not talking about the ones that
it's
changed.
changed. Dexterous tentacles is +1 agility. I think for the most part they're all right by that. Guess it will help the mirror match, but yeah. Charged tentacles, siphon of the veil. You can do 6.
I think that's in there somewhere anyway. So
dear.
Won't worry about
that. And then the other one that's taken out, Grasping Proboscis, basically gains D3 veil tokens.
Yeah.
When losing 3 health points. So I think the cloven hooves is the biggest one there. Maybe the breath weapon.
Let us
arguably.
know if you're outraged at losing your precious manifestation.
Yeah, for sure. What's the biggest loss out of those? I think it's 6. Ones that have taken away, and the ones that have changed, are they massively, Aura of Despair, for example, works very, very different. Is that really going to affect you? And if so, how? Moving on to characters, though, so that we don't get hung up on that. The Harbinger.
It's interesting. Oh, sorry, go on. I was already onto the Kuluma's Deceiver, but sorry.
Okay, sure. Harbinger's the same. Kuluma's Deceiver, the next one, has gone up by 10 points.
And it's got a better Aegis and a better offensive skill, so I think that's a really good increase in stats for little cost. The Greater Dominion has got 10 points more expensive. And it's interesting to see the Greater Dominions are still in there. The Dominion of Envy is still in there, even though Greater Dominion.
So only he gets it, basically.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So with the Greater Dominion, everyone, he can give reroll ones of Aegis to someone.
Yes, and they have that, but
also
still
he has
keep
his own
Dominion of Envy.
which is good. I mean, his one as well being +2 offensive on top of his already increased defensive, so he can get offensive 10 against most things, which means, and if he's hitting 2s on anything defensive 4 or lower, and which is 6.
Yeah, actually.
So he's hitting on 2s on most things. This guy.
With an Aegis 4 up as well. He's got a bit of real buff.
Yeah, so
I don't really remember seeing him that much. Like the 25 by 25mm demon, I don't remember seeing that about.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why he's got a real buff.
Yeah, for sure. So he's the guy that if he's got attack value for everybody in close combat, isn't he?
Yeah.
But the Greater Dominion has gone up. I don't know whether that's
only 10 points. I think that's just because it's potentially better. So
so it's slightly better than what his one was. So
I guess other units won't benefit from Dominion of Envy now. So
that's it.
A trade-off. So
the Greater Dominion has changed for all of them, but it's whether or not it's better or worse than the rule it was originally doing.
And that'll be different for every demon. So yeah.
The Maws got cheaper and a higher strength, so that's pretty cool. It was already a bit of a beast, and now it's definitely doing more wounds. Maybe that increases its chances of blowing up. I don't know. I can't remember the thing. But the Greater Dominion is cheaper, so it's 40 rather than the 65.
Which I think it had to be, because really, gaining on a unit is very good. Yeah. Whereas you can't do that now. So
otherwise pretty good. I think he's kind of won from his thing. From an onlooker anyway. The Miser of Suglugulug is way cheaper. 40 points cheaper.
I think the loss of half off, which is surprisingly difficult to say. I think that means he's got to get cheaper because this was a good protection against cannons and such.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas now he hasn't got it.
So half off was the halving multiple wounds.
Yes, exactly.
Rounding up, it has gained a defensive skill for what that's worth, and the Great Dominion has gone up by 5 points.
Yeah, I wonder with this one. We haven't seen an ogre book yet, but I wonder if the Stonehorns or whatever it was will lose their halving multiple wound attacks.
Possibly,
as well.
but the item from High Elves that halves that isn't gone.
Okay,
so
good spot. Yeah,
it might just be to make him cheaper.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah,
did we need demons to be cheaper?
Maybe the miser. You did.
Yeah,
I think that might help Tony.
Sure. Yeah, Tony. Courtesan.
So has gained Strider because that
looks
was
like it.
His Dominion of Lust. So that's basically they've just told.
Oh yeah.
He's got it.
So that probably just Dominion of Lust might have a slight rework at a later date than mine.
Possibly, yeah. So at the
it doesn't need to say it twice, really, does it?
Yeah. But it's got 20 points cheaper. The Razor Tentacles are.
Oh. Yeah.
So if you're engaged in the flank or rear, you gain +3 attacks, and it was. You gained one.
This is a lot simpler. It used to be very different in different circumstances. Now you're just getting the extra attacks,
which must be allocated against rank and file, though. Interestingly, I don't know whether that was before as well, but
yes, it is.
But
it used to be against rank and file.
Yeah,
as well.
Again, this has a 2 or 3. So it must be against rank and file, and you ignore this effect if you cannot allocate any close contacts to rank and file. So if you're in the flank of a character, it doesn't. From the way I'm looking at that, it doesn't. You don't get the +3 attacks, but it might be that you don't have to go against rank and file if there are no rank and file. I don't know. I presume that means you don't get +3 attacks if you go in the flank of a character.
Oh yeah. But if you go into the flank of a character and a rank and file, then you can still attack the character,
but not with the +3 attacks.
Oh yeah, because you have to.
Because you ignore this effect.
Yeah.
But let me know if I've got that wrong. And there's a clarification.
I think it's just +3 attacks most of the time in the flank or rear.
Yeah, which is simpler. The Omen of Savar has gone up by 5 points, but its discipline is 10, so that's an interesting one for that. Otherwise, works exactly the same.
Okay.
The Sentinel. Oh, what was the Greater Dominion? Is that the same?
Yeah, it's the same.
40 points. Yeah, so that's. They tend to be 40 points all round now. The Great Dominions. In case I don't mention it for the others.
Interestingly, Dominion of Pride possibly needs a rework as well, because it refers to units with more than half of their models, whereas obviously now it's only on him. So that possibly, you've only got it on him, so it wouldn't be units with half their models with it. So I would expect that to be phrased slightly differently.
Because you can't give the Dominion of Pride to someone, yeah.
No, exactly, yeah. So,
yeah, interesting. The Sentinel Nakuja is down by 20 points. It's lost third eye.
Oh, that's quite a legacy rule, isn't it?
Yeah.
Third eye of Tzeentch, if we're allowed to say it.
You don't. So from that point of view, you don't see the next card, but you can store up to 6 fail tokens.
And that's where the charged tendrils has gone into.
They've pumped it into him basically for free, but you can't get it as an option. The manifestations of Father options, you can get up to 175 or 200 rather than 150 and 175, so you can get more on him.
Considering one of them is free as well, that's cool.
Yeah, the Strixon Spirit is free rather than 15 points as well.
Okay. Cool.
So, he's getting he's been shown a bit of rework love. However, he does lose from the Strixon Spirit the +1 resilience and +1 health point. So he just gets the fly. So it's free because it doesn't offer as much, basically.
Right.
So yeah, a decent rework on him, but doesn't change overly. There might be some combinations of manifestations that you get that rework him somewhat as well. So that'd be cool to see. The Scourge.
Oh boy.
20 points cheaper, which is interesting to see. And the Dominion's cheaper, but otherwise stays the same. So
I guess the Dominions have to be a flat cost because it's a flat effect.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, really interesting there because I saw him a lot and he's got cheaper. So that's an interesting one. For the most part, they all seem to have got cheaper.
Yeah, we obviously needed more demons in the game.
More great demons.
I don't know whether it's cheaper enough to allow you to fit more in.
Probably
There'll be
not.
Someone who's crunched the numbers.
You'll get an extra Veil Serpent out of it.
Well, I meant an extra demon actually, but in the character section, you know.
Yeah. Oh no, pretty sure not. But yeah,
there'll be some combination that now means you can get 4 demons instead of 2 or something like that.
The Burning Wheel as a mount has lost Light's troops.
Yeah, I think that's a recurrence actually. Goes around.
What for constructs?
Yeah, I think a few things have lost light troops.
Okay.
The Throne of Overwhelming Splendor going
Does
down.
Does that change how much they can wheel and stuff as single models, or is it because it's a single model you can do it
your light troops anyway? I think
maybe there's that. So it seems to have lost it, but I don't know whether that is an actual loss.
No.
Or not. Moving through, same with the Throne of Overwhelming Splendor.
I love that name. It's just brilliant. It's hard to say, but
otherwise the mounts are the same.
Yeah.
From this update, and there's no real points change to many or any of them. Moving on to the core setup and imps, looking at them points wise, they're the same. Lost obviously the option for charged tendrils because that's gone.
But obviously their equivalent Greater Demon has now got it free, so you might find you've got it anyway. I mean, if you're playing imps with the whole extra spell and stuff and the extra channel, then you're probably going to want the storing 6 spell tokens anyway. So you might be playing them alongside that Greater Demon. But...
so they basically just lost an option.
Because they maybe were playing it alongside a certain Greater Demon anyway. Maybe not.
Succubi have gone up by 5 points. They haven't technically lost talent size. It's just been renamed to Smother, as you alluded to earlier. Divining Snout is, I want to say, cheaper. Or an option. No, it's an option. They've given that option.
Because it's lost Smothering Coils.
Yeah.
Which was the most expensive one. I don't know, was that a good one to take? Let's have a look at Smothering Coils quickly. You stay where you are. Smothering Coils, I can never find any of them. +1 to wound with close combat attacks against models with scoring.
Right, so that is because they've been given the smother and they wouldn't want it to double up effect, I guess. Because now you could have doubled it up there. Maybe, I'm not sure. But
people who know Succubi better will know.
But otherwise, not too much change, just as an option change in the manifestations.
Yeah, I think the fact that you've lost your 7-point manifestation does mean that your core is going to need slightly more models in it over the course of your Succubi units.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a way just to add an extra Succubi, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Lemurs are the same, and Myrmidons are the same. So we're looking at the core, just a few option differences really from that point of view. As you said as well, Eidolon's the big thing is Aura of Despair, so that's
they have got it.
They have that option, so they now have Accurate, so Darkfire.
And has that got cheaper? Has it?
Aura of Despair has on them, yes, it's halved in cost.
Wow.
But I think not being able to charge them was. Or having less of a chance to charge them made them better because they could then get out of the way pretty easily with their light troop stuff. So I think it's a fair change. I don't think it's a
if you think it's fair, I won't argue. I don't know, So
yeah. Incendiary Ica is the same. I just thought it was blue tinted, so don't worry, that's my eyes.
okay.
All old. Champion is slightly more expensive for the Eidolons.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a flat 130 points for a Wizard Conclave model. It's fairly standard.
Yeah, Hellhounds have cheaper for the first 5, and as they sometimes do, more expensive and rounder numbers for the extras. They've gained Fear, which is
cool.
interesting.
I like that.
But lost their Hellish Growl, which is pretty important, I think, because that was made them quite unique as a unit.
Yeah.
They do get extra support too, though. Which is a big change. It means you can put them in 5x5, and probably why
more than 5 of them
for sure makes the big 15-man units much more viable now. Because I don't know about you, I never saw a 15 Hellhound unit ever.
Right, so you're going like 8 wide. You mean 8 in the front?
Yeah,
7
they'd be going wide. Even just some extra
6
models.
wide and then 3 on the back. Yeah. Sure.
But
it's interesting to see extra support 2 as opposed to extra support 3, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if they made it extra support 3, then they'll have to get a big price increase.
Yeah. But I've got cheaper, I guess, for the initials and more expensive. So getting more expensive for those second ranks is only by a point. So that's pretty extra. For the most part, though, I don't think... Grasping Proboscis has obviously gone. Otherwise, there are no points changes. Oh yeah, Centipede Legs has got cheaper, but that was always going to happen. Then moving on to Threshing Engine, lost its light troops, but I believe that's something we alluded to earlier.
Is it because Fly has light troops in it?
Possibly, or it's something to do with being a construct, because all 3 constructs have taken.
I don't think they lose an effect for this. I think they just carry on as normal, but it's just not needed to be said.
Yeah. Titan Slayer Chariot. So the Titan Slayer Chariot has actually gained some movement. Which, demons, eh?
They obviously need to get better.
Yeah. The Mountain Breaker, from what I can tell, is a rework in that it's not a +2 advance for Devastating Charge. They are subject to maximized if against
towering
the big
presence.
stuff. So hence Titan Slayer. So it made them more Titan Slayer-y. But it's basically maximized instead of +2. And we've had this argument with
double Swift Stride instead of +2, yeah.
Yeah, Kingdom of Ectane, we've had this argument. I don't know whether that's better or worse. Personally, having +2 potentially is better because you can get 14 inches.
More reliable.
But I don't know whether it's more reliable maximized. Maximized, I would suggest.
Sure, that's the debated part, isn't it? Yeah.
A higher average.
The old one would have given you a better range.
Yeah.
Although you've gained a bit of that in your advance and March anyway.
Yeah, so interesting. Divine Snout is gone as an option. Digestive Vomit is more expensive by 5 points. Centipede Legs down by 5. Hammerhand is an option now. So you've lost Divine Snout, you've got Hammerhand as an option. And Hammerhand, as we all know on the Titan Slayer Chariot, is an option which says Hammerhand. I think it's +1 strength, isn't it?
Or attack.
+1 attack.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering where you were going with it because I probably could have just told you that.
So that is the option there instead of Divine Snow. So interesting there. Mage Bite Gremlins, quite a cool unit. Extra support 3.
I don't think they'll ever be seen though, will they?
Extra support 3. Well, they're interesting and chaff that catches some people out. I guess is their mantra. But extra support 3 is an interesting thing.
They already had it anyway, though.
Oh yeah,
it's been crossed out.
So it's just I think that's how little I saw them. Veil Stalker. Is that a rewording as well?
That's just a rewording to fit the special ambush rule. So
yeah, sure. So other than that, Green Fire Eyes has gone down to 2 points per model.
Yeah, although I should say that Veil Stalker is interesting because it allows you to come within an enemy model with channel. as opposed to from a different place. No, it still was from an enemy model with channel,
Yeah, it
actually.
was always channel, so that will be interesting and seeing.
Yeah. Although
Saurian
dragons have got
Ancients,
channel,
obviously.
so
Yeah, dragons and Saurian Ancients.
don't use
now.
Saurian Ancient me anymore.
Smother has been added to Claw Feeds, but it already had it, so don't worry too much there. Brood Mother is 8 points now on Clawed Fiends rather than 15.
Which is right, because it's different in every single
absolutely.
way. Yeah.
But otherwise they work the same.
Mm-hmm.
Hoarders, one of the hardest units in the book for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Segmented Shell has been added for 4 points as an option. Grasp and Parissus obviously gone, so they've just had that instead of that as an option. Otherwise they work the same. They weren't broken before, well, badly.
Arguably, yeah.
Sirens are the same.
Good.
Although Centipede legs have gone down, obviously, because it should.
You lose your advance, yeah.
Blazing Glories have lost cloven hooves as an option.
I'm surprised they didn't just tag on an extra impact hit 1 or something for them.
Yeah, maybe. But again, it's a good model and used to good effect by people. So I don't think there's much change there. The Hope Harvester all comes in the changes points wise, little bits here and there. So the Engine with Damnation is down by 100 points, or Despair, which is obviously a big change from 50 to 15, but it's accurate now instead of that. It's fine. Perhaps that's quite a big points drops for what it did. But is what it is. Lost Segmented Shell and Sorcerer Antenna options, but has gained Iron Husk as an option for a whopping 80 points. It's a very good manifestation.
That's a good one,
yeah. Otherwise, works the same, just with a few little tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
The Engine Domination hasn't changed, has it? It's got resilience to 6.
I think basically Iron Husk allows it to get that effect anyway.
Oh, yeah, but it's resilient. Its health points are set to 8. So you gain a health point.
Yes.
Out of it.
But they didn't want Engine of Damnation being possible alongside Iron Husk. Because then you could get
Why not?
your resilience at 6 and then Iron Husk, which is resilience is set to 6.
So you can get both though.
You can get both, but
but you pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pay more for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
because you don't get it automatically as part of Damnation. So.
Yeah, for sure. Brazen Beasts, Centipede legs have gone down, otherwise they're the same.
Yeah.
In the Aves category, Aves, the Furies are Furies are the same. Veil Serpent's massive. Oh, I thought it was 24. Sorry to disappoint. It's only 34 points per extra model, so it's only a drop of 3, and it should have been 35 just for easy round numbers' sake. Writhing Tentacle Nightmares is gone. So it's
but you're still choosing one of those 3 manifestations, which is cool.
Overall, a bit of a knock because that is quite a good manifestation, but that's not a manifestation not open to everyone, presumably. So that's just been taken out of the book.
Yeah, I think it didn't fit the mold.
Yeah,
so that's sensible.
Bloatflies are slightly more cheaper. Slightly cheaper. Dexterous Tentacles obviously gone. Brood Mother is less expensive by 10 points a model. So they've gained Tool, but I think that's a beast thing for some models. Otherwise, work exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, Brood Mother is probably a common one for them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it has been changed, hasn't it? So yeah. Overall, getting a bit cheaper, but it won't affect too much in it. And that takes us to the end of the book.
Great. That one's tricky for us, if I'm honest.
Yeah, the biggest, really, in terms of the changes, is it's the manifestations you've got to look at and really take note of. As is the case with Demons, really, as a book, the trouble with having your own item allowance and rule set is that you've got to have quite a lot of rules. So it's part of that. But they have desperately tried to.
They've trimmed it down a lot. There's a lot less of them. I mean, one of the things that I was always confused by with Demons was how many magic items effectively they get. I know they're called manifestations and they're different effect, but effectively all your army is using manifestations. All your army gets magic items, which not a lot of armies have that privilege. Maybe dwarfs are the closest to having something with their runes.
For sure.
But they've stripped a few out, which I think is a wise move. And
simplified the Great Dominion as well. So it's definitely easier for opponents to understand the book now.
Agreed.
Less excuse.
There's less flicking back and forth because you've got less to choose from.
And overall, things got slightly cheaper, but I think some of the rules have left, so it was probably going to come.
I don't think this nerfs demons though.
No, that's what I mean.
Arguably, demons are the most powerful army book there. I mean, obviously that's a very sweeping statement, and I might not be right. But demons have performed well recently.
Absolutely,
is a statement that I can back. And so to not see them be nerfed, we're not looking at that book and saying that's clearly a nerf.
Yeah, well, I mean,
saying that's a trade.
Yeah, so, I think there's a lot of trade. I think that's a good argument, really, for this. Is there are a lot of trades.
So I don't think they're going to lose their strong position anytime soon.
Yeah, and they seem to work for the most part the same. What there will be some combinations with Great Dominions that are now gone. So I think that we'll see how good that flat Great Dominion is. It seems pretty good, but it is a one size fits all, which always is much worse than the customization of the Great Dominions for different units. And but I think everything's got ever so slightly, not everything, but most things have got slightly cheaper as well. So that is the trade-off. And interesting to hear Demon players' views on that, and whether we're being a bit unkind to the Demon review.
Maybe. Although another thing to point out is I believe 2022 has been the year of Darkhide, and we've gone through a whole review without mentioning Darkhide. So clearly Darkhide has not been tweaked.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing. So is that something that you're pleased to see or not?
Yeah, very much so. So let us know in the comments. Hit us up on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and the forum. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the notifications, because there is plenty more update reviews, and certainly the Masters is coming up as well. So if you want to hear all about that, subscribe.
Stick with us.
Yeah,
and of course, if you have watched all the reviews, drop a comment in and say, I've watched more than 50%. I've watched all of them. I'm awesome. And we will reply and say, you are awesome.
Agreed.
And that's everyone wanting to feel good. So do it.
Absolutely. But until next time, and until the next review, see you later.
See you later.